All right. Happy Wednesday, Moose Country. How are we feeling? This is episode 11 of This is Moose Country, the official podcast of your Halifax Mooseheads. And holy crap. Can you believe what we witnessed last night and throughout the 7-game series? Mooseheads making history, Brad, with that series victory last night in Drummondville. Still in disbelief. And I think, honestly, just so proud of the club.
Yeah. Pardon Scotty's French on that opening, but unbelievable. I mean, I have to be the first to say I did. I think I said Drummondville in 5. So unbelievable. Watching the game last night, like I said, I woke up this morning and you're thinking, did that actually happen? Like, is that real that we won in 7? And it 1-0. Like, the epitome of what our team has been all year.
Andrew Lord Hockey.
Andrew Lord Hockey, yeah. Might not be the most flashy in the world, but we got it done. That guy behind us there, Jacob Steinman, oh my God, what a player. It's no one would have believed it, but here we are on to the second round.
I think the Jacob Steinman Screw You Moncton tour continues.
Yes. Yeah. He's climbing. He's got something in his sights for next round.
Yeah. But again, history, it's the first 16th ranked team in the playoffs. We're 16 out of 16 teams to make the playoffs. First team to win 3 games in a series, let alone win the series. We were chatting too. I would love to know the stat. You'd have to tediously go back through every playoff series known to man, but how many Quebec League teams have won a series with 0 19-year-olds in the lineup? Like, that's saying something. We've got the 3 great 20s,
yeah,
and then a bunch of great young guys.
Yeah, I think like it's interesting. We were doing some research before. When I was 18, we traded away our 19s, and other than that, there wasn't we couldn't find a team without any 19s.
Yeah.
So even to be in the league,
yeah, exactly.
Literally to be in the league without 19s is one thing. To win a playoff series, I know we got swept in 4 and got outscored probably 93-2. So a little bit different than this year, but it goes to show, I mean, first and foremost, the 320s, like we said, the impact that they have every night is incredible. But the young guys buying into, Lordo's systems and the way he wants to play, and we don't give up much, so it's crazy to see what we've done with such a young team.
Yeah, so Jacob Steinman, 37 saves last night, but again, the Andrew Lord style hockey we talked about of players just sacrificing the body. You see that massive block shot from Alec Nazardine at the end of the game, but it's everybody top to bottom that were laying their body on the line. I thought it was a real coming out party for Mathieu Taillefer in this series. He has blossomed into potentially my favorite player on the team right now. The way he has played both on the offensive end with the puck, but his responsible style and just a beast.
Yeah. I think for defensemen, sometimes you don't notice guys like that. You don't
unless
notice
they get the points, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he has the abilities. Like there's sometimes when he's walking the line and you're like, oh my, a couple spinoramas, and he makes great plays. But for a defenseman like that to not be noticed, that means that he's doing a lot of things right. Mm-hmm. He moves the puck really well, very smart. He can alleviate pressure very easy. So there's a lot of times when Drummondville was coming at us, and he has the ability to spin off guys and kind of calm the situation down. And his defending, he's hard to play against. He kind of has a chip on his shoulder. Yeah. He's not easy to get to the net. He kind of, like you said, this is his coming out party. He had a great series. I thought he was the Mooseheads' best defenseman all series.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then there's Brady Schultz, the captain, leads the team in scoring in the first round, 6 points. You said all 320s, just great series. Braden McPhee, a couple of goals, and just the heart and soul as he always is. Amazing for the 3 of them to see their junior careers extended a little bit further. Here we go with round 2 against the Rouyn-Noranda Huskies starting Friday night on the road. And those 3 get to keep playing, which obviously means the world to them and to the Mooseheads fans who are going to get a chance to watch them a little bit more. Last game we saw here in Halifax was an unbelievable one too. A game 5, similar to last night, where they just really controlled, dictated the play. They hit everything in sight and played that way for the full 60 minutes. Liam Kilfoyle scored an empty net goal in that one. He scored an empty net goal last night in the winter, and quite possibly two of the best empty net goals I've ever seen. They're both like center ice. Last night was a backhand from center ice with two guys all over them. Those weren't easy goals to score, and they were so crucial to the victory.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been such a team effort. If you look at Drummondville, they kind of have that big line. They have a couple guys after that can also put up points, but it hasn't really. We got Quinn and Carrier and these guys that are have their points, and Schultz has their points, and they're a threat offensively, but it has been a team effort. And back to Nazardine, like plays like that. That's what kind of adds up, right? I do have to give a shout out, like Ryan Fletcher.
Yeah,
getting called up and being thrown in the mix in the playoffs. He's played a couple games throughout the season, but then just here you go. Here's a 7-game series. You're playing every night, and you're playing shift. 10 to 15 minutes every night. He's had a great series, so good on him for stepping in and not looking at a place at all.
Because it's a different pace too, right? It's not like getting called up middle of the season. Like this series was high tempo. It was, here's the previous champions. Good luck. So
great
to see Ryan Fletcher and Cole McLeod got into some action as well. Didn't see a ton of ice last night, I don't think, but we were impressed with what we saw from Cole because there are a laundry list of injuries right now. It's Eddie Doyle's been out since the regular season. Upper body. Justin Shiras was a big loss for the Mooseheads in game one. Will Bent was a big loss for the Mooseheads in game one. Kalen Blake now out as well. Not sure exactly what the status is right now, but I know Andrew Lord is saying that, hopefully with a couple of days rest, we might be able to get maybe one or two of those bodies back. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. And that's that's playoff hockey, right? You have these guys, you look at a guy like Cade Mosier when, however many games he didn't play, 20, 30 games in a row, he didn't play and then gets thrown right back into the lineup because of injuries to Bent and Blake and things like that. And has contributed. He's been a good player for us. Nothing flashy, but plays the right way, gets pucks deep, plays hard. So that's playoffs is you think that, you're going to ride your top guys the whole time. And sometimes that's how it does work. But a lot of times playoffs is the guys who you least expect to step in and make, big contributions.
Yeah. Well, they got us all believing right now. That's for sure. And, I guess maybe you and I were not in that belief factor, wanted to, and knew what they had in them. But, based on what we had seen in the regular season, we thought, you said Drummondville in 5. I said Drummondville in 6. I thought, Mooseheads might be able to get a couple off them. But there was a massive loss for the Voltigeurs, of course. In game one, their star goalie, Riley Mercer, goes out. Probably would make a different series. I don't know if it would change the result of the wins and losses in the end, but I think maybe there would have been a couple overtimes or something. But Mercer, because he's one of the best goalies in the league, to lose him was huge for Drummondville.
Yeah, and it's like you look at our game, right? And are we the same team in front of goalie A or Steinman, right? The goalie has the ability to give you that confidence. Like, they're normally a high flying team, like to put up offense, and they know that they got him behind them. I feel like, the first couple games, they didn't have that confidence because right away we scored a couple goals. And not to say the other guy didn't have a good series, but it's just that, the timely saves, the big saves in key moments that he wasn't able to come up with that, a guy like Mercer who's been through it, who's won a championship, he's able to do that.
Yeah.
Does it change the series? Not sure. We'll never know.
Yeah.
It changed the series for one way that we didn't have to play him, which is great. Yeah. So we'll take it. But a massive loss and a great goalie for his whole career. So we'll take that any day.
We'll take it. And you mentioned the big guns who they did perform well for Drummondville. They Danik Gauthier, Ethan Gauthier, and
Danik's brother.
Yeah, exactly. And Luke Woodworth leading the way in scoring in the Q playoffs right now combined for 25 points. They were so good, but the Mooseheads minimize the damage where they could. I think same with Sam Oliver, had some goals, but just really held everyone else off the score sheet for the most part in that series. But we're moving on. Rouyn-Noranda. I think this could be a similar series. They're
Halifax in 7. I had it.
Well, we're not underestimating them anymore.
Got to say it right away.
The Huskies are kind of a similar team in terms of maybe a little top heavy. They've got some really skilled guys up front, and maybe not as much scoring in the bottom 3 lines. Really good goalie, Samuel Milosh. He's only 17, though. 30 wins this season. Probably going to be on that all-rookie team. And he's been very good, but unproven in the playoffs, aside from this first-round series that they just won. We know Alex Carr very well, former Moosehead, Upper Sackville native, as a 20-year-old captain for Rouyn, and has had a really good season on the blue line for them. And he's going to be out for a little revenge after all these years against the Moose as well. So it's not going to be easy, but I think the Moose have a chance in this one too. It's again a small rink in Rouyn, very similar to that Drummondville rink with the I think 10 feet shorter in the neutral zone. Plays into our style of play, the way that they were able to do it last night in Game 7.
Yeah, I think one thing we've learned in this series and even through the season is, we play such a tight style that every game we have we have a chance to win. It's not like normal, rebuild years where you're losing 8-0 one game and 10-0 next game. And we play such a defensive, like our defensive structure is so well rounded that we're in every game. And we have this, optimism about us that we could go 15-0 in shots in the first 10 minutes, and then we go to the dressing room up 1-0.
Yeah,
and it's just unbelievable how we have the style that we can play and not panic really when the teams are kind of pushing us. I think Rouyn have some big dogs. They got some great players. I think one thing that I find a little bit better about Rouyn, I think their back end is the defense are a little bit mobile. A little bit more mobile than Drummondville, which might it might be a little bit tougher on the forecheck, but we're in the same spot, and as long as you got the big guy kicking in the back end there, I think you got a chance to win every series because he's that good.
Well, let's go through the round 1 winners and maybe our predictions that were so god awful as well. We could check in on those and see how we did.
Yeah.
And we got to start with the Moncton Wildcats, a 4-0 series sweep of the Quebec Remparts. I had Moncton at 5, thought Quebec might have been able to get one, and Eric Veilleux's squad kind of did give Moncton a tough time at times, but they just couldn't hold them throughout the 60 minutes of play. You saw hanging in there, equal in shots through 40 minutes a lot of the time, and then Moncton would break out with 3 goals in the third period. So a Moncton sweep, no big surprise, right?
Yeah, no, I think I had Moncton in 4. It's the only series I got right with.
Check mark for Brad.
Yeah, which is tough when it's the best team in the country. But yeah, they're just such a powerhouse. So kudos to Quebec because they put up a fight. It wasn't an easy series. There was no blowouts. It was good on them, but Moncton's just a juggernaut.
Yeah, and no slowing them down quite yet, I don't think.
Yeah.
Rimouski, also a 4-0 series sweep over Charlottetown. I was a little surprised the Islanders didn't put up much more of a fight. They kind of went out with a whimper real quick in that one. Rimouski caught fire. I had the Oceanic in 6, thought that the Isles might be able to get a couple, but dead wrong.
I also had them in 6, so we are both wrong on that.
Yeah.
It just shows the powerhouse that they have. We said at the start that they don't always, big dogs don't always mesh together. Well, they did.
Yeah.
So we were wrong on that.
Yeah. And we did mention that they added the size, like Levine and those other guys, built for the playoffs, and it came together for them in that first round series.
Yeah.
Chicoutimi takes down Acadie Bathurst 4-1. So sayonara to the Acadie Bathurst Titan. They're now officially the Newfoundland Regiment, I guess you could say, as their franchises come to an end in Bathurst. I was hoping for an upset there for the T-Town. I had Bathurst in 7, but that was not even close.
I had Chicoutimi in 7. I with the way that Bathurst plays, I'm very surprised because they are similar to us. They don't give up very much and very, defensively sound, but big ice in Chicoutimi and Chicoutimi. Listen, Chicoutimi's got a great team. They've been great all year. They're high-powered offense, and so good on them. But I definitely thought that Bathurst would put up a little bit more of a fight.
Yeah, me too. But it is the Sags are moving on. Baie-Comeau takes down Cape Breton 4-2. Cape Breton forces it to 6 games after that incredible 5 overtime game that I stayed up till like 1:30 in the morning on Friday night after hours to watch. Really good show there. Wrong again. I had Eagles in 6, thinking Cape Breton might be able to overcome the Baie-Comeau losses of both Bernier and Poirier. Baie-Comeau proved me wrong there, and they're moving on. Disappointment for Cape Breton, I think.
Yeah. You look at their team, building off of what they had last year. Also, I had Cape in 7, so I am wrong. But building off what they had last year, the exciting run, there was a lot in the community on how exciting the team is going to be, how well they're going to do. They, didn't have a great season. They got up to the 5th place. There was times when we were battling with them, at the bottom of the barrel type thing. So not a great season all around. I thought that they were built for playoffs. They're big, strong. They play that way. Baie-Comeau is also built that way, so a tough first round matchup for them. But yeah, I mean the 5 overtime was a crazy thing to see. I think one of the players had 97 minutes.
Yeah,
on the ice.
You imagine what the legs would feel like the next day.
Yeah,
and Malota 82 or 84 saves in that game. It just that's one that at least they can take from this series loss and say that was a great memory because they pick up the win. Fullerton with the goal. It was a pretty cool moment.
Which is cool. Yeah. I think they stopped. 1:30 or something. They ended up stopping the game. And I remember Chris Culligan, a good friend, he used to play, was the captain of the Eagles, and they played in Quebec, and I think they played 3 or 4 overtimes. And he had to get taken off. His legs seized up on him, and he couldn't walk for like a day and a half. So I can only imagine how the boys were feeling after 5.
Yeah, and hats off to the fans who were at Center 200 from about 6:15 that evening until 1:30 in the morning, and God knows what time they get home after hopping in the car. So for those who stuck it out, that's a feat. And for Patty McNeil as well, our buddy in Cape Breton, did a great job broadcasting that game as well. That's a marathon for a broadcaster when you're by yourself.
Yeah, that is good on Patty, and I'm sure there was lots of fans in Cape Breton that had 5 or 6 hot dogs and a bunch of beer and had a great little night out of it.
Yeah, for sure. Rouyn-Noranda takes down the Gatineau Olympique 4-1. That's one that I actually got on the nose. I had Huskies in 5. Olympique kind of were neck and neck with the Mooseheads in terms of points this year. Didn't think they'd put up much of a fight against the Huskies, and Rouyn moves on in 5. Yeah,
I don't think that was a shock. Gatineau came in playing some good hockey, but just Rouyn is a better team. I don't have my prediction here for some reason. I didn't get the answer to that, so I'm gonna hope that I said in 5, but I'm sure I was probably wrong.
Yeah. Shawinigan in 5 over Val-d'Or, 4-1. Another one that I had Cataracts in 5, so happy to get that right. I think Shawinigan is another one of those sneaky teams that is maybe better than a lot of us expect, and they could have a decent run in these playoffs.
Yeah, I had Shawinigan in 6. We talked about it. One of the better teams we've seen coming in. Moves the puck well. They kind of have 4 lines that all play, high tempo. They could be scary moving on here. I think they're a good team, and really, if you look at their lineup, they're kind of built more for next year. So good on them to get through. I thought Val-d'Or would have a little bit more. They kind of had a good second half and had a lot of high power offense, but good for Shawinigan.
And finally, it was the Sherbrooke Phoenix in 5 over the Blainville Boisbriand Armada. Slight upset there. I mean, they're pretty close in the standings. I had Armada in 7. Kind of a real letdown. Final couple weeks of the regular season for Blainville, and then in these playoffs to only win 1 game. That we saw them and thought man, this is a great team. And they were playing so well in the second half after the trade of Jonathan Fauchon, the league's leading scorer. They sent him to Rimouski. They were, just riding a high, but seemed to run out of gas.
Yeah, I had the same. I had Blainville in 7. I thought they would have made more of a push. Sherbrooke's one of those sneaky teams too. We talk about they work hard. There's no real studs on their team. I think Blainville is kind of, you got your high end talent and some workers underneath. But I think Sherbrooke just kind of work. Their identity is work, and they don't really have any major stars that stick out and do the scoring for them. It's just kind of done by committee. So committee.
There you go.
Yeah, jeez. So good on Sherbrooke, and they'll be tough too.
Yeah. All right. So round 2. Let's go through these matchups now. We've got the final 8, and your Mooseheads a part of it. Who would have thunk it? But here we go with Moncton Wildcats home ice advantage against the Baie-Comeau Drakkar. Not going to be easy for Moncton. I think they're still the juggernaut that we know that they are, but Baie-Comeau is a tough team to play against. I'll go Moncton in 6.
I'm going to go Moncton in 5.
Yeah. They are really hitting their stride.
Yeah, not losing in the past 20 is going to be tough for Baie-Comeau. But like you said, Baie-Comeau is a team that you don't want to play against in the playoffs. Big, strong. They shut things down. And Moncton's a high-powered offense, so it'll be fun to watch. Moncton's always fun to watch, but I think Moncton in 5.
Yeah, another interesting one will be Rimouski at home against the Chicoutimi Saguenay. Could be tough for the Memorial Cup hosts in this one, but I think that they will still prevail, and I'll go Rimouski in 6 in this one.
Yeah, they seem to hit their stride too. I think we talked about this is probably the toughest one. I'm gonna go Chicoutimi in 7.
That's a good upset.
Would be an upset.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I'm confident in that, but I'm gonna go Chicoutimi. They're very evenly matched. I think a little bit more flying power for Rimouski, but we'll do Chicoutimi in 7.
If Rimouski gets knocked out, it makes the Gilles Courteau Trophy Finals a lot more interesting, right? Because you need to win to get into the Memorial Cup, as opposed to if you're in there with Rimouski, both of you are going. Yeah. So that could make things a lot more interesting. We'll skip over ours for now. We've got Shawinigan home ice advantage against Sherbrooke. Another one that could be a really interesting series because we both called both teams sneaky good teams, right? I think I really like the way Shawinigan's playing right now, and I'm going to take them in 7.
I am also going to take them in 7.
Yeah.
I like their style. I think they got depth. Sherbrooke's not an easy team. I think there's a good Cape Breton kid in net for Shawinigan and Owen Brisson. So I'll go with Shawinigan in 7.
All right. And finally, the Halifax Mooseheads are on the road to start against the Rouyn-Noranda Huskies. It would be another massive upset. Rouen is the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. Halifax, of course, the number 8 seed in the West, 16th overall in the league. But we got to go with our Moose now, don't we? We're riding high. Let's keep this train going. Mooseheads in 7.
Moose in 7.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, that's our recap. We've got Moncton, Baie-Comeau, Rimouski, Chicoutimi, Rouen, Halifax, and Shawinigan, Sherbrooke coming up in round 2. It starts Friday night, and we can't wait. I think it's time now we pass it over. We've got a great interview. I don't think I even mentioned it off the top. Hey, we've got an interview coming up with a couple of Mooseheads greats. It's Darcy Ashley and Brent Andrews. So let's toss it to the boys now. Well, we're joined here today by a couple of Mooseheads legends, a pair of forwards who always seem to go hand in hand when speaking about them and the team. They combined for a total of 656 career regular season and playoff games with the Halifax Mooseheads. They're a pair of proud Prince Edward Islanders. They are Darcy Ashley and Brent Andrews. Boys, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Brent, maybe start with you. Tell us where you live, what you do now, and how things have been.
Yeah, everything's been good. After Halifax, I went to UPEI for 5 years with Darcy. Went to school, did my MBA, got on with Scotiabank in 2019, and been working here ever since, now in wealth management. Got married a couple of years ago for a Cape Breton girl I actually met in Halifax. She was going to nursing school. whenever I was still playing in Halifax, so met her and drug her over to the island. No kids yet, but a dog, that's enough responsibility. So we'll go from there.
And Darcy, you're back at PEI as well and getting ready for lobster season, and also have you have a kid now, right?
I do, yeah. We got a little boy, Eddie, that's almost 21 now, and our lives have definitely changed since my days living in Halifax. But we're happy with where we're at in Northport, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting ready to go fishing.
Is Eddie after our famous defenseman Eddie Doyle?
Well, I coached him first, so
Okay, yeah, you made him into the player he is.
I was trying to put him on the track to get to Halifax. So now her grandfather is named Eddie, so I think it might be just a really good coincidence.
A little more sentimental than left defenseman from the same town.
But yeah, talk a little bit about that connection with Eddie Doyle. I know you were in the picture when he got his draft jersey and everything. It was a pretty cool moment for the organization, how it tied in.
Yeah, well, I coached a couple of years with the Prince County Warriors in Edinburgh area, and I had a great group of kids for 2 years. A few of them moved on to play in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. We got Will Murphy in Cape Breton. We got Eddie in Halifax, and anytime Halifax reached out, I was promoting my former players, and they really took a liking to Eddie, and I think it's a perfect fit there. I mean, he's a fantastic kid that other kids like to be around all the time, and he's a positive leader in the dressing room, and I think you'll really see his leadership transpire over the next couple of years.
Now you were coaching. Were you doing the off ice stuff? Because you can see you have a great gym in the background there.
Yeah, well, this gym just went in for sure before we built the place, because there was no way I was going back to the gym again. So if I get any little bit of exercise, then it benefits me.
Yeah, just before he came on camera, he was on the elliptical there for a few minutes. So
I sweated more trying to get this program downloaded than I did in the
gym. The Wi-Fi is not clicking over in PEI right now.
No, we were supposed to have it by now, but we don't got Wi-Fi everywhere over here.
I'm from Cape Breton. I can't say much, but listen. Great to see you guys. We'll jump into the careers a little bit. Darcy, we actually first met, went to school together in Rothsay. Different kind of route, I think, that most would take. Just take us through why you decided to do that and how lucky you were to play with me that year.
Yeah, I don't think we actually got on the ice together.
Yeah, it's fourth line. Yeah.
No, I was just contacted by Rothsay. My first year Bantam, Lance Predham had went there the year before. He's a relative and a really good family friend, and I went over and watched a couple games, watched him play, and was looking, I guess, for just a little bit of a jump in competition. I wanted to play against older, bigger kids, and I knew I would be in a little tougher, maybe to make the major midget team, and I wasn't sure if where I slotted in there, and there was certain things you had to do to be able to play there. So I decided to go to Rothsay for a year, and I knew if I liked it, I could stay longer. And if it was more of a 1 year fit, then I go back and play major midget the next year.
One of those things was trying to keep your mouth shut. And I think that was a prereq, and you couldn't do that very well. So that was probably one of the reasons, was it?
Could have been.
Yeah. And Brent, you stayed home. You played in Cornwall. You actually played as an underager in U18. Is that right?
I did, yeah. So Darcy kind of just alluded to that. He definitely could have done the same, but yeah, I stayed home and played underage for a year, and then Darcy joined us the second year. Had a good team, a couple former Moose alumni. Dylan McGuigan, Jordan Costello were on that team as well, so it's a good group.
Dylan McGuigan, maybe one of the scariest guys ever.
Terrifying.
What?
Terrifying. Train on the ice.
Yeah, train, an absolute truck. And then your second year, you actually go and play underage on Team Canada Team Atlantic. You had a pretty good team there. Couturier, Gormley.
Yeah.
Shaw was there.
Really good team.
Bolio.
Yeah. Duffy, Couturier, Gormley. Yeah, a lot of really good kids. And I thought we were going to kind of be the ones to finally do something for Atlantic Canada, but we didn't quite make it. But still awesome experience. We were out in BC. So
what did you finish?
Ooh, like 7th or 8th, maybe. It wasn't too polished.
The year before they finished 9th, so you're good.
Yeah, as long as you keep getting better.
Take us back to the Q draft. You're 15th overall to the Mooseheads, Brent, and you joined for the 09 season. Is that right? The 09-10 with the Mooseheads. What do you remember from that experience? Were you at the draft, and how did that all go?
I wasn't at the draft. Similar to Darcy, I was looking at University of Maine, and so like I talked to a couple Q teams. Some said they were interested and that they might still take me, and so I was watching the draft from home, just from out of interest. So obviously, a lot of friends and people I knew were going to get picked, and then the Mooseheads I saw had made a trade for 15th, and then ended up picking me. So was kind of excited. Obviously, it's nice to be picked and relatively high, and by an organization like Halifax. So started talking to them. The more I talked with kind of Cam and Bobby, and went over to visit Halifax, it seemed like a really good fit. So quickly kind of came to the idea that it seems like the right fit for me, and decided to go to Halifax as opposed to going to school.
What do you guys think of the NCAA rule change now that it's come into effect?
I was so jealous.
A missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Darcy, you would have got into all the schools down there for sure.
But
I would have got into one.
Oh, it's great for the kids now, though, right? There's so many other doors that are open because of it.
Yeah, Wild should make both leagues hopefully a lot better. So, no, jealous, but awesome for the kids for sure.
And Brent, you got drafted 15th overall. There was a player in the same draft, 18th overall, who had a worse career than you, but Jonathan Huberdeau. How did it feel to be a better player than him that year?
I get that a lot from people. Not only great saving graces, there was also 17 others picked ahead of him. So that's what makes me feel better.
And then Darcy, you went on to play. Yeah, you got drafted at Summerside that year. Played in Summerside, and you had a great year, great season. Got to play with one of the toughest guys probably in the world, Will Johnson. How cocky were you that season?
Well, I got to play with a lot of older players that year. I had Harris McKeever and Trevor Carmichael as line mates. They were both 19 years old, and I was well protected with Will out on the ice, and they were just, and Gordy Dwyer coaching. We had a tough team, but I mean, Woodstock was always good. They were tough to beat, but I had a lot of fun that year. I got to live at home and play in Summerside, and back when we were getting big crowds every game. It's a good development league. I think it kind of gets looked down upon for whatever reason, but it's a great place for kids that aren't quite ready maybe to make the jump to major junior and play big minutes. It's a good place to play and develop for a year and make sure you're ready to go in and compete the next year at 17.
Yeah, and then you're picked in the second round, 25th overall by the Mooseheads. Tell us your draft experience with the Moose and how all that day went for you.
Yeah. Well, I was at home, and I knew that if Halifax picked me, that I would be honored to go to Halifax, but that was the only team I was really interested in. I mean, I had a great relationship with the University of Maine. Originally, I was determined and planning to go play down there, but when I went to under 17s, I guess with Brent and Ian Cox, they kind of swayed me more and more towards playing major junior, and the more I thought about it, it just made more sense for me to go over there and play. And I had a wonderful time, awesome billets and awesome teammates. Just you can't get a better organization than Halifax.
Why Maine? Was there a scout that was up this way often that had developed connections with, or why was it Maine for you guys?
I think they were probably the closest, and Ross, the coach, had a connection, and I think when he came up here and started seeing some of the talent, he was the first to contact me. I don't know about Brent, but I assume he was pretty early as well.
Yeah, I got onto it because of Darcy, and then I got him away from it too, I guess.
What do you remember, Brent, when Darcy got drafted?
Well, I was kind of hoping for it. I knew that I'd obviously talked a lot to him and was hoping that it would work out. I was kind of expecting him to be picked earlier, but they went and they slid and got Andrew Ryan in there first, which worked out in the end. But there was some level of concern there in between those picks that somebody else might swipe Darcy, but no, I was obviously pretty ecstatic that he was going to be able to come join us.
And then, Brent, the first year you come in, a little bit of an older team, maybe not much skill. What do you remember about the transition? I think you guys had 17 wins that year. Maybe not.
Yeah, we were terrible.
Maybe
It
not
was
the
rough.
best season,
It
but
was a rough adjustment.
It was the end of the
Um,
dark ages, right?
Yeah, it was good to be there to go literally from the bottom. I think you were 60th in the CHL. I remember Cam saying we weren't going to get our tracksuits till we won a game. So we didn't get our tracksuits till like
got them in January.
November. Just like we finally won a game when the boys all got tracksuits right before we went on a road trip. Yeah, I think it was like 17-1 to start the year, something crazy like that. It was tough for sure.
I remember the year that I was in Halifax and Cape was bad. They got their Christmas present, but they didn't know who was going to be there. They were horrible, so they were trading off everybody. So they just got a blank gray sweater, no logo, no nothing. Just so probably one of those years where it's like we're not really giving you anything. You don't deserve to be here.
Yeah.
Another one for Brent. We had written this one down. You played with the infamous Garrett Clark. Tell us any stories about Garrett and what it was like to play with him.
Yeah, Clarky was super, super talented,
Yeah.
but obviously had kind of some shortcomings in terms of that penalties here and there and some issues. But no, like probably one of the more talented players I've definitely played with. Like Canada of a shot, unreal hands, which is
Great teammate.
I don't know. He's didn't all work out, I guess.
Yeah. I remember would have been before you. He got drafted and came out from under the stands. It was like a big reveal.
I remember watching that video. That was in Cape Breton, wasn't it?
That was in Cape Breton, yeah. And it was as if he was gonna. Anybody thought he was gonna go to NCAA because he wasn't the smartest guy in the world.
Yeah, just a scream school guy.
Well, yeah, exactly. Almost as bad as Darcy, but.
Yeah, maybe tell a little bit more of that story. You said you had a hand in bringing Darcy to the Mooseheads, maybe convincing him a little bit. Talk about how that all came together.
Yeah, like I was kind of texting him, and we'd always been close from playing spring hockey and against each other growing up. And then when I got to Halifax, like obviously it was first class, everything. Even though we weren't very good, we still straight experience, and like I knew where we were going to get to eventually. I just know that Cam and Bobby are obviously very motivated to make sure the team was good, and I think Darcy could be a huge part of that. So we went to under 17s, and I just basically hounded him, like, don't go to school type of deal. Wasn't really promoting education, but I said, we'll figure that out after the fact, and kind of just let him know how good everything was in Halifax and how we were treated. And it wasn't a huge thing to sell. It was pretty easy once I got rolling on it, and he was pretty interested.
So Darcy, you come over. First year you got, Brent is obviously on the team. You got A-Rye, you got Trey, Marty, you got a pretty good group. Obviously not, the best team in the world, but you got those building blocks. Did you kind of see where you were moving in terms of, going for the run the next year?
Yeah, well, we won a few games that year that we played against some pretty good teams. We beat Drummondville one night in a snowstorm in Halifax in front of 250 people. Sean Couturier. Yeah, you could always see it, but you could see that we were young. We were really raw. I mean, Marty come over and he was shooting the puck as hard as Al McGinnis. And, we just drafted Luca too. He was second overall. He had a good year in midget. We knew we had the potential. We were just missing obviously some pieces, and we had, a few people going in and out. But it's one of those years where you got to get through it, and you're just trying to make sure you get better all the time. You're not going to win every game, but if you can keep them close and you can get the experience, it pays dividends. And I think for us, we got to play right away. We got good minutes, valuable minutes. So, whenever the time came for us to be the older guys in the team, we know how to handle it.
Darcy, you were also playing under head coach Cam Russell there at the start, and then there's a change as owner Bobby Smith jumped behind the bench as well. What are your memories from that time, and what was it like playing for the owner?
It was different. I mean, we didn't really know what was going on for a while. Everything was kind of in limbo. We knew Cam had been relieved of his duties. But we didn't really know if he was gone for good or if he was staying on as GM. For a while, we didn't know who was coming in to coach, and then we found out Bobby was coming to coach. It was different from going to, Cam Russell practice to a Bobby Smith practice. There is a few years of of hockey experience in between there. The game changed a little bit, but it was something that we come together. I think we won the first game when Bobby was behind the bench. We rallied together, and we got through it, and we learned some things on the offensive side of the puck, and it got us ready for the next season.
Yeah, and then maybe talk, Brent, about the transition to Dom Ducharme and what he brought to the team.
Yeah, I think like kind of to build off what Darcy said, Cam kind of really helped kind of ingrain that intensity and hard work, and then Bobby had kind of the skill side of it and tactics, and then it kind of all rolled together with Dom. Just super smart coach. Everything he had that he brought to the table for us, like, had a purpose. Like, it all made sense. He kind of provided context as to why he wanted to do things like that. He's a really good teacher, but also had that kind of intensity to push you as well. And it definitely showed, obviously, in that kind of my third year, Darcy's second, like the big steps we took coming back against Quebec, and then really set the table to have a strong year the next year. So now super, super privileged to have been under Dom for a couple of years.
You talk about the intensity, but it's basically the fear factor of it. He was a scary man.
Cam was a scary man.
Cam was scary. Dom was scary. Dom would stare a hole through your soul. He was that scary. So never wanted to get called into that office.
My first road trip in Halifax when I was 16, we went on the road. I had a roommate who I'll not name him, but he didn't stick around long for reasons you can imagine. But anyways, he brought girls over to the room, and I was terrified. I knew this was not allowed. All I wanted to do was go to bed because we were playing PEI actually the next day. Anyways, Cam somehow gets wind that the roommate had a girl over in the room. And anyways, all he hears is a big knock on the door, and then he just comes flying in the room, rips the two of us apart. I was terrified. Didn't sleep a wink that night. Didn't eat anything at breakfast. Just absolutely shook up. And then finally, like an hour before the game, he comes over to me and says, like, I know you had nothing to do with that. I said to send a message. And I was like, Jesus, man, like, you couldn't have told me this last night.
Yeah, just call me.
I went and ate about like 5 bagels. I was starving. And then finally, I was absolutely scared shitless there for at least 24 hours.
Been shaking for a whole day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Did you ever get called into Dom's office? You're talking about being scared of him staring a hole through you.
I don't think I did. We got called out a couple times for maybe breaking curfew, so that was scary enough. But I sat on the bench, so I didn't get called in for my play on ice. What about you, Darce?
Yeah, I've had a few meetings for sure, but basically for the same reason you had the meetings, I guess.
Yeah, we all worked hard, so we didn't get called in for that reason.
That's right. They had bigger fish to fry. They weren't worried about us going out and dumping the puck in and going to the front of the net.
Yeah, exactly. So the next year, you see in the summer, we pick up Joe. Obviously, the massive trade for Nate. You bring in Fuchs. Then during training camp, you bring in 2 studs and myself in Cote. How big of a difference was it going into that season than the years prior?
Well, we knew there was a big buzz around everything that had happened. I didn't know how good these 2 kids were. I mean, we never seen Joe in training campus. He was going to school too. He's not a student. But Nathan got there, and I remember the first time we were on the ice, we were doing this race for a puck drill, and somehow I beat him, and then he cross-checked me, and I went flying. And I get up thinking, who does this kid think he is coming in here, 16 years old? Boy, was I wrong. That was the last time I ever beat him in a race.
Yeah, he thought he was Nathan McKinnon, and he was. Yeah, he's pretty good.
You guys talked about Marty ripping shots a little earlier. We like to ask every guest that played with him any good Marty stories that you remember, because it always seems to be a few.
Oh, we've got a great one. Well, it was mostly Darcy, but we took him to get donaires during training camp, and he didn't speak like a lick of English, and he was just hammering this donaire. And then Darcy said, "Careful, Marty, like, you eat too much of that, it'll make you poop." And he says, "What is the poop?" Didn't know what poop was. Yeah.
Didn't know what a poop was.
We went to Subway the first day that he got here, and he wanted the steak and cheese. And the lady goes, "Sorry, sir, we have no steak." And he goes, "Oh, that's okay. I'll get the steak and bacon."
Just kept ordering stuff with steak.
Yeah, steak and eggs? No.
We're gonna have him on for a rebuttal. It's not fair. We're getting all these stories about him, but he's not here to defend himself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, Marty's a beauty. Like he just didn't have any regard for anybody in practice though. Like you wore one in the back of the legs in practice.
I missed the whole practice because I don't know what I did to him. I flicked the puck at him and he just took offense to it and just whammo right in the back of the leg and just dropped like a sack of potatoes.
95 miles
Practice
an hour.
off.
I said, Darcy, did you drive him for a bit?
Yeah, I drove him for the whole time. I think other maybe the last year.
I know that I had him one year, the only year I was there, and I remember picking him up. And I always say, like, one day you go in and the NHL rankings are coming up, and he sees himself and he's like, "Oh, cuz you see Marty top 5, Marty go top 3, like Marty good, Marty go top 3." He'd go out that night, score like 3 goals, have 2 assists, and then you pick him up the next day. It's a back-to-back. You pick him up the next day. He's like, Marty no want to play today. Marty done. Like, come on, man. Yesterday you wanted to go first overall, and now you don't want to play hockey.
Yeah, he was an emotional player.
Emotional, yeah. Just back to Nate here quick. Darcy, you before Joe came, you got to play with him quite a bit, and you did throughout your year. Sorry, Brent, you didn't. But what do you remember with playing with a guy at that caliber?
Keep up. Try and keep the puck going forward. Basically, he wants to play north-south all the time. So it was, all he had to do was really chip a puck, and he was going to beat the next guy, or you weren't even worried about putting it on a stick. Just get it up the ice to him, and away you go. Really off to the races. Try if there's a rebound, it might get there in time. If not, you probably score.
Yeah. Luckily, you found Luca. That's more your speed.
That is exactly me and Luca we were paired up for the racing for the puck at the end of practice.
Were you on with him at all for the 5-goal game against Quebec?
I don't believe I was. I would say he was playing. I think he was probably playing with Critchlow at that time.
I know it wasn't me.
Joe was here by
Probably
then
wasn't
too,
Brent.
I got a good view of it though.
It was great. That year we go in, in playoffs, down 3-0 to Quebec. Probably one of the most, historical moments in franchise history. What do you remember of the kind of comeback?
Yeah, like obviously we expect to be a competitive series. Like we felt pretty good going into it, and then we get down 3-0 early, which was kind of deflating. But I don't know, we just won one at home, and then or 1-2 at home, I guess. And then we went back up to Quebec and just kept winning. And I don't know. Then it's just a lot of belief after Game 6, especially. It was like there's no way we're going to lose this Game 7 now that we came all the way back. And I just remember Joe playing unbelievable. Nathan Critch had like a hat trick that game, I think. And then also just being exhausted. The bench got a little bit short there and we went into OT. So quite relieved that Joe put one in the net and let us go home. But yeah, it's a quick turnaround into the next series against Rimouski, but definitely worth the wait.
Cuzzy, didn't you do something that series? You were a big reason why we won that series, weren't you?
Drew
You didn't even do it on the
wasn't
youngs. You were on the bench. He was on the bench.
Yeah, I don't remember what that was.
I do.
Tell the story.
I was cheering guys on, I think, too loud.
You were cheering Gabe on, and our old teammate Desi, and he was trying to get the microphone there in your face. I think he might took one in the teeth.
Yeah, that was a nice concussion to have, so you guys could get him suspended, so you can move on to the finals. So you're welcome. Don't worry about my brain, but you're fine. Yeah, enjoy. Just talk about going into Game 6. We play Rimouski, Darcy. How much of a different feeling was that? Because we were kind of down against Quebec. Then you go against Rimouski, and it's like, oh God, we have a chance to get to the finals. What do you remember in that series?
It was kind of an eye opener. Quebec was a tough series, a lot of back and forth, and then you're playing in the two biggest rinks in the Q, and you're going in to play Rimouski, who probably should have had a better record in the season than they really did. They were all experienced. They were good. They had good defense. We knew it was going to be tough, and I think we kind of got wore out maybe a little quicker than they did. And I mean, they had a good team, but they were just probably a little bit better than we were that year.
Yeah, and then the next year, I mean, we all know what happens. You bring in players like Mackenzie Weegar, Steph Fournier joins as a 20. Matt Murphy comes over. Macaulay at the trade deadline. What were you thinking going into that year? I know a lot of people in the city were thinking that this is a Memorial Cup year. Did the players have that mentality as well? Did you feel the pressure of everyone thinking that this team has what it takes?
I don't think we really felt the pressure. We knew we were good. Like players like Brent and I, we're playing a little bit more of a supporting role. We played a lot and we were valuable, but like we knew we had studs on the team, and it was our job just to make sure we provide a little bit of secondary scoring, some leadership, and we know if we let our horses run this, they're going to take us to the promised land, and that's exactly what happened. Although we lost 6-1 to Gatineau in our first game at home that year, and I did a little bit of head scratching there for a few minutes, but I think we went on a pretty good run after that.
How happy was Cam after that loss?
He was happier than Dom.
Yeah.
Uh,
All the losses
you
that
get-
year were really like they were well timed. Like we were pretty cocky. Like we felt pretty good in training camp, and then we got the crap beat out of us by Gatineau, and it kind of leveled us down a little bit. And then didn't lose again. Second, or like the next big loss was
Intermoski.
in playoffs
Well,
against Bacon Mole. Like to be able to go home and win home, like as opposed to sweeping everybody, to go home was actually pretty sweet. And then in Saskatoon, to lose to Saskatoon, I think that kind of gave us a little bit of an eye opener and put us on the path to win the last couple of games. So
Do you guys
not many losses, but they were important.
you come back, you win that game to go 16-1 and win President's Cup. Do you guys remember the chant that you had going when you were on the ice after the win? No?
When we won the President's Cup.
Yeah. There's
Toothy.
No.
Was it?
That's it. Yeah. No, nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toothy
Oh, we
moves.
went.
The pride of Halifax right there.
Free
All the boys
advertising.
in the Johnny Moore was there.
Advertisement, yeah.
Johnny Moore was at Toothy Moose that night too.
Johnny Moore?
Everybody made it that night. It was deadly.
Did he make a video?
He didn't have the video camera out.
Yeah, interviewing when he's on the dance floor at the Toothy Moose. There's a beautiful clip, Darcy, in Mem Cup of Johnny Moore asking you guys had a mini putt game, and he asked you, what's going on? You get your cell phone, and you said the Lobsters aren't doing well this year. Do you care about hockey, or do you just care about fishing?
Then or now?
Both.
Then I was definitely more focused on hockey. I didn't think I was ever going to be fishing when I was playing hockey. But I went to school and I realized school really wasn't for me. And I started getting in the boat more, and I eventually loved it. So, but people ask me about that a lot. And the biggest similarities from fishing and playing hockey is competitiveness. I'm very competitive on the ice. And anything I do off the ice, I toned it down some, but when you get behind the wheel of the boat and you're trying to beat your father or your uncle or your friends, it brings it's a way to get the competitiveness back in it without looking like an idiot, I guess.
Are you playing bumper boats out there? I'm not sure how fishing works.
No bumper boat. Bumper boat's not a good game to play out there with 45 foot boats.
I just don't get the competitive side. I figured you guys are out there trying to cut traps and smash each other's boats out there.
When's lobster season start for you?
25th.
So you're ramping up now then.
Yeah, we got a snowstorm today, so hopefully things change.
Brent, that year you actually played in the Q All-Star team. Who did you pay off to get on that team, and how great was that experience?
It was pretty amazing. I remember I was actually over at Trey's house, I think, and then ever the Q list came out, and I had to like pass my phone to Awesome Harry. I'm like, is there another Brent Andrews in this league? So pretty shocked for sure. But that was actually when my first shift with Nathan came. Bear Cherney was coaching, and it was a 4-on-4 or something, and I went with Nathan, and that was I'm pretty sure my first shift on the ice with him all year. And I was like, are you sure she walked me down the ice here?
Just because we play on the same team doesn't mean we should be on the same
you don't
line.
have to do this.
Yeah, what were your impressions of Bear?
What's that, sorry?
What were your impressions of Bear? We had him here for a season in Moose Country a couple of years after you were gone.
I loved him. I thought he was my kind of style hockey, so he kind of appreciated the way I played, and it was an easy transition for me. There's only 2 games, but he kind of set the expectation of how he wanted me to play, and it worked out well for my game. Just keep it simple and kind of work hard. So, no, he was great.
Darcy, we talked quickly about Mem Cup, but I guess we'll ask both of you guys. what do you remember from it? The stakes are obviously high. You're playing teams you don't know. What do you remember from that experience?
It was a lot of fun. Like, you remember, obviously it's easy to remember the games. I mean, you can see highlights on the computer and stuff, but we had a lot of fun off the ice the whole time we were there. The weather was great. We were out playing catch, getting sunburns, mini putting, back in cages, yeah, stuff that's fun for teenagers, really. And I mean, we were obviously in Halifax, you treated great, so we were always doing things, but we went there with the plans to win. And once we kind of heard that panel come out and say the Portland was the favorite, I think we really got together and decided, it's time to prove to everybody that we're the best and we're the best for a reason.
Yeah, that bulletin board material. And did you kind of put a target on Seth Jones at all to prove like, hey, maybe this guy's not the top guy in the draft. We've got somebody else here who's pretty good, and Nathan MacKinnon?
Yeah, well, we knew that going in. We knew we really didn't have to expose him. Nathan kind of took care of that himself.
I think the biggest thing was Brennan Leipzig going by our bench during the first game. They were up like 5-3 or something maybe, and he was kind of a shithead. He went by our bench and said, "You East Coast boys better start hitting or something." And I was like, I just looked down the bench at Nathan. I was like, "You gonna do something?"
I like that.
You get a hat trick.
I like that you didn't go hit somebody. You said, "Are you gonna do something to Nate or what?"
I was like, he's not gonna. I was like, I knew Nathan would not sit well with him. So I was like, here we go.
So you looked down and he was foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, shaking.
And then he took over.
I was gonna say,
so thanks to Brennan Leipzig for doing that.
That team though, like all four lines could score, right? Like it's such depth for the Mooseheads that year.
Yeah, it was like crazy depth, really. Like the first couple lines, and then as you're working down to the fourth line, like even in like Mem Cup, it was like Luca and Boudreau, like guys that had 70, 80 points that year that were just outstanding offensive players. So we were super fortunate that not only we have a lot of kind of studs in the first line, but like really good depth throughout, and guys that could score, play two ends of the ice. So, and our defense were,
I think it
too.
It really became apparent at Christmas time whenever everybody left for World Juniors. Like Conrad left, Nathan left, Joe left, Fuchs wasn't there for a while. And I think we might have had an injury or two, but we went to battle every night for each other, and some of us that didn't play as much got a chance to move up the lineup and play. And I think we went like 8-1-1 during that 10-game stretch, and I think that really showed management that we don't need to make a lot of moves here. Like we got our racehorses back here, and everybody gets healthy. We're gonna go to war, and we're gonna make a run at this thing, and that's. We were battling for first overall in the CHL the whole year, but I think that was when everybody knew, like, okay, let's do this.
Was there a time you came back, like during Christmas break or something?
Yeah,
you played a game.
I got
in St. John, wasn't it?
I got 4 games in.
Moncton.
I had 4 games. Yeah, it was great. I was like living
4
downtown.
games at Christmas?
Yeah, it was fantastic. And
8 points in 4 games.
-6 in 4 games, but you guys still won, so it was very impressive. But I've asked him a million times for my ring, and he said it's still in the mail, so still waiting on that one. What would you guys say? We'll start, Brent. What's a better place to win? You win President's Cup at home, or you win Memorial Cup in Saskatchewan?
I think winning at home is obviously extremely special. Like to do something in your own rink and the whole year. Like we had awesome support from the fans, like full barns every night, obviously with Nathan and Joe there. It's a good show, so we got good crowds. But yeah, to do it at home and then be able to take the cup down to Toothy and kind of parade that around for a bit, it was pretty awesome for sure.
Yeah, there's 10,595 in the building, but I think there's 36,000 people in the city that say they were there that night.
Yeah. Whereas in Saskatoon, we were allowed to leave the hotel room. So,
right. Yeah. How soon did you get on a flight back home after winning the Mem Cup?
8 a.m. the next day.
And how are you feeling?
Oh, still buzzed for sure. I think everybody was. That's the only way to survive the 5-hour flight back, whatever it was. But then I guess we got back to the airport mid-afternoon, and there was a huge group of fans that were there waiting, which was kind of awesome. Everybody feel like rock stars and really feel appreciated. So,
and then you go and you have your parade. How meaningful was that going through? Halifax with the Cups and nice, beautiful, sunny day in downtown Halifax.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, that whole week was a lot of fun. But to celebrate it with the people that stuck by after the thick and thin through the bad years and obviously through the years of winning, it was nice to be able to for us to show our appreciation to them too, because one of the things that's special about playing in Halifax is the camaraderie from the fans. I mean, they show up all the time and they're diehards. So, it was nice to be able to do that for
Was
a
there
few
another
hours.
party that night, or where was it, and what'd you do?
Greatest party ever in the Usually every day I'd start over at Darcy's around 1:30 or 2, and we sit in his billet's garage and we get one or two down that tasted like nails, and then figure out our plan from there. But yeah, it was a large week.
Didn't know that there was a buffet at Toothy Moose, so very impressive. They just gave you VIP stamps for the week. Going into the next year, you lose Nate, but over the years, you kind of add a couple players I don't think are talked about as much, and Nick Ehlers and Timo Meyer. Just tell us how exceptional they were as players.
Nick was disgusting. Like, I got a shit ton of assists from that, so that was great for me. But like, just how fast he could move and like how rugged he was. He was such a small guy, but still hard to play against. Like, he'd hit you and you'd feel it, and just tough on pucks. Like, just crazy talent, how he could take over a game.
Yeah, that was a great season too, right? Like, you guys came awfully close to make it to the semifinals against Val-d'Or, and just talk about how that year went and how close you were again.
Yeah, I mean, they say the toughest thing is winning the second time right after you win the first time back to back. But I think before the year started, people kind of had us pegged for not being as good as what we were going to be. But like I said, we had a lot of depth the year before, and those guys got a little more ice time. And obviously, we brought in Nick and Timo, two really good forwards. We had a few injuries throughout the year, and I think as the playoffs wore on, we might have got a little tired, and I mean, we shouldn't make that as an excuse, but Val-d'Or was hungry and they were fresh, and they were a really good hockey team. They were big, strong, and they had Bebo in net, and he was real good that series. But yeah, that was a good year too. I wish we could have won it again that year. I mean, we're only like 2 points from finishing first place during the season. I mean, that would have made a nice advantage going to the playoffs, but didn't
Maybe
work
if
out that
Jack
way.
Eichel guy showed up that was drafted, would have been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and John Hayden would have been real nice.
That year, you guys were both co-captain that year. What did, obviously such a historic team, what did that mean to you to be named the captain and with such a good buddy?
No, it was an absolute honor. I think it couldn't have been, for me personally, it couldn't have done any better way. I mean, it would have felt a little awkward at first if just I would have got the seat and he wouldn't have, and maybe he feels the same way if it would have been the other way. But it was great to be able to lean on each other. I mean, regardless if what letter we would have had, it was, we went to talk to each other first, along with some of the other players in the team, and see what needed to be done. But having such a good friend there to be able to bounce things off back and forth. I mean, I was a little bit more of an emotional player and could heat up in the moment, and Brent would be the fellow just to calm me down. But if something needed to be said, then Brent was on the fence. I was the one that was going to speak out, regardless if I should have or shouldn't have.
Brent, we kind of skipped over the fact that you were drafted by the Nashville Predators. Kind of walk us through that whole experience as well, and that part of your life.
Yeah, I had a decent year at 17. It was okay, but was fortunate enough to get picked for under 18s to go to the World Championships in April. Had a decent tournament there, just kind of very similar. Just was told to hit everything that moved, and had a decent turnout. So I knew there was a little bit of buzz, but not a whole lot of interest in terms of getting drafted. So I didn't go to the draft. Waited all day to see if it would work out. I was kind of watching on Twitter and the NHL Network, just watching the ticker at the bottom of the screen, and rounds were rolling by, and like I was there with my parents and my family, and they got real quiet coming around the 7th round that might not happen. But then I saw on the ticker that Nashville took me, and that was actually the place I wanted to go. I kind of love country music. I thought the vibe would be cool, and got picked there. And then shortly get a call, probably half an hour after, from somebody from Nashville talking to me about getting down for camp. So Yeah, no, pretty surreal. Obviously, as a kid, that's something you look forward to, and with the opportunity to be picked and lifelong dream. So, no, it was definitely probably top 3 days of my life for sure.
Now, Sawyer Hannay, good buddy, he's living down in Nashville. Is there anyone that's more redneck that's made for Nashville than Sawyer Hannay?
Besides you guys.
I'd agree with that statement. That's a redneck for sure. But no, it's awesome.
Do you remember that ignorant GP head?
Yes.
Oh my God, the big red thing. He heard it. You could hear it coming to the rink, coming to the Portland Tree.
And it only start like 3/4 of the time.
Yeah.
Is this like a Wrangler or like a Cherokee?
It was like a Wrangler, but it was like aggressive and loud and
Lifted,
massive tires.
big tires.
Like he had a bandana always tied around the hand to get into the vehicle.
The door.
Ah, dear.
A couple S10s he used to drive.
I said,
he was awesome.
Do you remember round 3? He showed up in a cutoff flannel shirt, as if it was nothing. We all had like collared shirts on, and he had the cutoff flannel. Just a different breed altogether.
Awesome.
After that, you guys make the move to UPEI. How easy of a move was that for you guys?
I think kind of like we kind of talked a lot that we wanted to go somewhere together. I met a couple schools in mind, but just kind of the more talking UPEI and the opportunity to move home was kind of neat after 5 years of being away. So once Darcy kind of decided he wanted to go there, I was pretty well on board right away.
Yeah, similar. I mean, we wanted to go someplace together and never really thought about one school till I guess that year, 20-year-old year, because you're not really thinking about that beforehand. But I don't know, they kind of reached out early and everything sounded good. And for the opportunity to go back and play on the island, and it's been a few years, I think we were more than happy to go.
Gonna just ask too, you guys, periodically get back here to Halifax to watch a Mooseheads game out. Do you pay much attention to the current club at all?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Twitter, so I see what's going on on a regular basis.
Just hockey related though, eh?
That's right. Anytime I can get back there, though, I want to go see my billets and I want to go to a Mooseheads game. It's the two things I want to do. It's always special to be back there. Like outside of playing in the NHL, there's not many places you can get an atmosphere like that. So to be able to go and just a night out with my wife, or last time my wife and my wife Christy and Eddie were with me, it was awesome to be back there and just to see how far everything's come in 12 years. It's remarkable.
You guys get to come back and help Nate lift his jersey to the rafters. How special was that?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Obviously for the Mooseheads to think of us to bring along to be part of Nate's day. It was pretty remarkable, pretty cool experience for us. Obviously he's had a hell of a career and pretty neat to see how he's come from a 16-year-old kid the day he showed up at camp and like to now how he's mature, super successful NHL player. So no, it was awesome to be there for that and recognition he certainly deserved.
We're going to finish off here with some quick hits, and I'll go Darcy, then Brent each time. We'll start and just give me the first thing that comes to mind. Darcy, most talented player you ever played with?
Joe.
I would say Joe as well.
Funniest player you played with?
Brent.
Maybe Critch or A-Rye.
Hardest coach you played for?
Dom.
Yeah, Dom, probably.
Favorite goal you scored as a Moosehead?
Probably the one in Saskatoon against London.
Yeah, I would say the same. Goal against London.
Favorite playoff series that you were ever a part of?
Playoff series against Quebec City, and when I was 18.
I would say the Baie-Comeau one in the final. Just obviously how important that was.
Yeah. Favorite team to beat in the Q?
Moncton.
Favorite teammate ever?
Brent.
Darcy Ashley.
Have to say him.
Yeah. Would have been great if you didn't. Least favorite player to play against in the league?
Morgan Ellis.
I was going to say Brad Cuzner, but Morgan Ellis would definitely be up there.
Most underrated player you played with?
Like, I remember thinking how sick Mackenzie Weegar was, and obviously it panned out. Whenever at the time, though, it felt like he was super underrated, but I guess that secret wasn't well kept.
Right.
Yeah. I would probably, yeah, that's a good one. I would probably say Weeds too as well. He was good right away. Just, I mean, as a defenseman, when Conrad was there running the power play, you never really got to see his offensive side, but you could really see it in practice. He was good.
That's the last one. Your favorite establishment in Halifax?
Probably the Toothy Moose.
I would say Coors and Dartmouth or the Toothy Moose. I have to roll it. My wife there, so
Nice.
At Chorus or
gotta get
at
props to the
Toothy?
lad.
Toothy Moose.
Which one? Over a smoothie or a drink? A little bit different.
That's awesome, boys. Appreciate it. Really great having you back on again and chatting.
That's awesome, boys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, that is Darcy Ashley and Brent Andrews, a couple of buddies of yours, former playing mates. Good to talk to the boys.
Yeah. Just two great players, but two amazing teammates. They were fun to have around in the dressing room, and great to have them on together. They got great banter.
Maybe we get them down here for round 2 next week. It would be great.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, a little puck drop action maybe. But that'll wrap up episode 11. This is Moose Country with Brad Cuzner, Darcy Ashley, Brent Andrews, and myself, Scott McIntosh. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for the support during round 1 of the playoffs. It was an incredible first round of the postseason for your Mooseheads, and we're hoping to keep it going here. Stay tuned for a lot more coming up from the herd, and stay tuned for your next great episode of This is Moose Country. It'll be on your way. And make sure you know about it too by subscribing and hitting the like button and the bell button on YouTube, and we'll let you know when it's on the way.
And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, make sure to like, give us 5 stars, and leave us a review.